All right, hey everybody, we're back here with Q. Today's topic: how to do backlog refinement. I guess let's start with what is backlog refinement.
Yeah, what's backlog refinement? That's a great thing. Well, first of all, contrary to a lot of people believes, it's not an event. And honestly, the fact that it's not an event is not that relevant, but some people actually call it an event. And to be kosher, let's not do that. It's a practice, right? It's a
Okay,
practice. And it's a very good practice. And the reason being, it's where you actually refine, you distill, you go through things before you start working on them, and then, oh, surprise, surprise, right? So backlog refinement, I always say, is a great way to avoid surprises. You're not going to avoid all of them, but at least the great majority of them will be avoided. So I would say is to understand the items in a backlog, get a really good grasp of everything that's involved to execute it. So when you go execute it and eventually release them, you don't get too many surprises.
so if it's not an event, when do we do this?
So I had teams who did backlog refinement an hour every week. I had
Okay,
teams who decide to refine one or two items just after the daily stand up, the daily
okay,
scrum, because they're already there, right? So who
right.
we bring to refinement? Well, that's interesting. You're going to say, well, the team, right? And who does
That's what I
what?
would think.
Well,
Right.
the product owner brings the items, the team asks questions about the items for clarification, etc. And the Scrum Master is there and say, guys, we're talking about this too long. Or guys, it's getting off the rails. And hey,
Ah,
right? But it's more than that. One of the things I always tell my teams to do is, hey, you know what? Bring people external to the team when you're doing refinement because it speeds things up. For instance, let's say you need to talk about something that involves the security people, or bring somebody from security in there. On the spot, they can answer a lot of questions and saves time, saves those surprises that I mentioned. When you get into executing, what do I do with this, right? I used to invite people from legal. I worked for a financial institution at the time as a coach. And we noticed that every time stuff went to legal, it would take forever to come back, right? The moment we invited somebody from legal to refinement, they would look at something and say, that word cannot be there, change it.
wow.
And we not only we eliminated surprises, we also eliminated a lot of external dependencies. So backlog refinement, it's not only for the team, it's for everybody who can help the team get an understanding of that item so it can be executed.
And I would think, depending on, if you're just starting sprints, maybe you want to spend more time in backlog refinement as you're getting used to the stories and the work. And maybe, later sprints, you can back off a little bit because they've been looked at. I've always heard, and you can tell me if you agree with this, that, a good practice is for a team to look at what's in their backlog, whether you call them product backlog items or user stories, right? Let's use those terms interchangeable. You want a team to look at that several times before the sprint where it actually gets pulled in
Mm-hmm.
and developed, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm on a developer team and I'm in sprint planning and this user story comes up as a part of what we're going to do this sprint, I've already seen that at least two, maybe even three times in prior backlog refinement sessions before that specific sprint planning session.
Yeah, it's a good point. And actually, I always tell my team if you are opening items during sprint planning and talking about them, you didn't refine them well. And if you have a good refinement practice, normally your planning takes at best 20 minutes, at worst 30. Because you are just there to discuss capacity, see what you can pull in, and you're done, right? You already discussed it.
Right.
Another thing I tell my teams is imagine some sort of pre-refinement. And by that, I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean go create another meeting. Please don't do that. Okay. What I call pre-refinement can be very simple. I usually tell my product owners, hey, you know what? Two things you should do. One is run the items that you are going to bring to refinement with the most experienced person on the team and ask them to take a look. because you can kill a lot of stuff that they're going to ask there straight. Second thing is, by doing that, you save the rest of the team getting involved in a discussion who can be much longer, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this pre-refinement is not an event, it's not a meeting, it's not. It can be actually done asynchronously. Hey, can you look at this? This is the stuff I'm going to bring to refinement, right? And tell me if there's something blatantly missing in there, right? But it's time well spent because it doesn't take a lot of time. And it's going to save you time in refinement. Refinement is going to be much better. It's going to save you time in planning, right? You have to have a systems thinking view of the things. Everything you do has to work as a global vision, as a system view of the thing. If you make refinement good, but the planning is not good, overall the system is not good, right? And we have to keep those things in mind.
And we talked about in a previous video when we talked about dual track agile, this is really the discovery part, right? So there's discovery and there's development. They're going on parallel tracks every sprint. Backlog refinement, definitely more of the discovery track. I'll put the link somewhere here if you folks want to go back and look at that video. But this is all good stuff because I even had another agile coach once call backlog refinement pre-sprint planning, right? To kind of help get the idea that like, listen, this is what we're thinking either in the next sprint or 2 sprints from now. It goes, your sprints will go so much smoother. And I know it takes away from the development time in the sprint, but it's well invested time because it's going to make the other sprints go so much smoother. So
and
it's definitely not wasted time.
I'll give you 2 cake recipes. One is
no, I like cake.
No parachuting, okay? Meaning, do not bring stuff to the refinement that the team never seen it before. That's part of what I call pre-refinement. Make sure everybody, once you talk to the senior person, they looked at the worst things, right? Then send all the items that you're going to bring to refine to the team prior to the refinement itself, because they can take a look and they can come with questions instead of, oh, that's the first time I seen it, right?
Yep.
The second cake recipe is, think about this. I always tell my teams, do this. 5-minute time box to discuss the item, right? Okay. Guys, are we good to vote on this or estimate this, right? No or not, another 5. Guys, are we good? That's the Scrum Master speaking, right? Because he or she is facilitating. No, we're not. Okay, listen. This either needs to be split or it needs to go back because we are spinning the wheels and going nowhere. Okay, let's vote. Okay, bingo, okay, we're good. Okay, let's do a definition of ready call here. Check, 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 check. Okay, good. From there on, your planning is a piece of cake because you already baked the cake quite well.
So definition of ready, right? A small checklist to know that you've covered everything. Like it needs to be estimated, it needs acceptance criteria. Don't make it too long because then we're creating a large process, which we don't want to do. But we want to make sure that it has certain things.
You and I are both pilots. Nothing in aviation is done without a checklist.
Well, technically, I'm not yet. I still got a few more steps to do.
Well, I've been for a long time, but in aviation, there's nothing done without a checklist, and there is a great reason for that, right? Because otherwise you forget stuff, and that's when you get in trouble.
I've got a checklist in my flight bag over there. That's one of my favorite things because like I could always look at the checklist if ever I got disoriented.
Guys, follow this. I wouldn't call them instructions, or I'll call them tips, okay? Adapt to what your team is going to work for your team. But most of the time, you're going to see that some of these suggestions work really well, okay? And have fun. And next time, you're going to see that your planning is going to be a lot faster.
Great. And I'm hungry for cake. So with that, if you stuck around this long, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. What do you think? Put your comments in there. We'll answer them. Really appreciate the time. And we'll give you our socials. You can check out our books. Q hosts the Scrum sessions once a month. Check those out. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.